So, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are on the planet. Welcome to this session about the startup visa of the Canadian program. Very happy to be here. To start by introducing myself, I am Suad, and I'm the Associate Director at Henley and Partners, and I'm also the Canada Program Manager. And it's a pleasure for me to be here to give you more information about that program. So, as you might know, Canada is a big country of immigration. We do welcome many, many people, hundreds of thousands of people yearly from around the world to come immigrate to Canada. And maybe you have seen that the government has been quite more strict in the last couple of months about immigrating to Canada. However, the startup visa program remains a really good route to get the permanent residency in Canada. And that would be the subject today. So we're going to go through it so you can have more information. So today's agenda, I'm going to start about giving you an overview about Henley and Partners for the ones who do not know us yet. Then I'm going to go with a country overview. We'll go with the key benefits of the program. I'll go over the requirements, and then I will be going over an overview of the process. And there will be a question period at the end. Do not hesitate to type in your questions, and I'll be very happy to answer them at the end. So about Henley and Partners, so we are the global leader in residence and citizenship by investment. We have 60 offices around the world, and we've been doing that for more than 25 years. Actually, our chairman has been the pioneer in the industry where almost 30 years ago, he has created the first program, which was St. Kitts and Nevis. And from there, we just continue to do that. And as of now, we assist clients with 40 programs around the world. So today, the main subject will be Canada, but we do assist clients with many other programs. We have assisted more than 25,000 clients. And something interesting to know about Henley and Partners is that we have two different divisions. So we have the division of private clients where we assist private clients, we assist families, but we also have the division of government advisory, meaning that when governments want to create their own programs, we help them to do so. So this is just to give you an idea of the expertise that we have in the field. And as of now, we have helped a raising of more than 15 billion USD of foreign direct investment raised in different countries. So this being said, as I mentioned, 60 offices around the world. As you see, we have a presence in many, many continents: Asia, Australia, Europe, Africa, America, North and South America as well. We do host a couple of global events around the world as well, where we have great speakers coming in and speaking about the residence, citizenship by investments around the world, the trends as well. For your information, we're going to be hosting a big event in New York. So the next one will be this coming Tuesday, June 17th. So if ever you are interested in attending such an event to get more information, more insights about this industry, feel free to go to our email, to our website, and to register over there. And it will be a pleasure to meet you in person there. Henley and Partners, it's also the service of education. So this is something that I want to mention because it can be a very, very practical service for families who have children. And as a mom of three myself, we have at heart the good education of our children. And this is why the service, it's a premium service that provides a bespoke and expert service for helping you to find the right school for your kids all around the world and help you for the process to get in as well. So we have a team of experts that they really have expertise on the different schools, the different possibilities, universities around the world. And what we will do with your child is that we will use the data from the HAPA. So the HAPA is a personal assessment that we do on the child to see what is his level, how he compares to other children around the world. And then based on the interests, based on what the child wants to do, then we will find the right university, the right school for the child all around the world. And we are impartial here. As you see, our impartiality assures that we pass the child as in the university that is the best suited for them. So, and in the case of Canada, receiving or acquiring a permanent residency allows great savings in tuition fees because in Canada, and I will speak about the education field in Canada, we have many international students who come and make their studies here, and they pay international students tuition, which is quite high. However, in having the permanent residency in Canada, the tuition are much lower. So this definitely is a strategy from many parents around the world that they go into the study visa route to get the permanent residency for the whole family and for the kids. And the kids, they would come to Canada and study with lower tuition fees. So this is definitely something to take into consideration. So if you do have a family with kids who are interested in coming to Canada, we can definitely help you to choose the right school for them. But in addition to that, we can assist you in getting the permanent residency for them. So here I'd like to take a step back and speak briefly about the world of investment migration. So to give you a bit of a context, there are several countries around the world who have programs to attract foreign high net worth individuals to the country in exchange of the residence and the citizenship. So it is really a win-win for everybody, given that the government is a good way of attracting foreign investors into the country that would bring funds to help the country to decrease the debt, build infrastructures, etc. And as for the investor, they would get the citizenship or the residence with all the advantages. And there are two different paths, I would say. It's a residence by investment, which is having a residence in a country. It is renewable, meaning that there are certain conditions that have to be met to be renewed, and it allows the applicant to live most of the time to work in that specific country. Such as the citizenship, it's all this rights. So it's the right to live in the country, to work most of the time, but it is for life, and it allows to get the passport and to vote in that specific country as well. And if we come back to Canada, Canada has a residence by investment program, meaning that once you go into the startup visa route, you would get the residency. However, there is a route to citizenship 3 years after, and I will explain that later. So this is to give you an overview on the different programs that we assist clients with. As you see, many opportunities in Europe, in Asia, Caribbean, and in America. So today is definitely for Canada, and we'll be happy to assist you with that. However, if you are unsure, what we can do is we will look at your situation, we will ask many questions, and then we will advise you on the right program for you. And if it's Canada, it would be Canada. If it's another one, we'll be happy to assist you with another program. So now let's jump in into the subject. The overview of Canada. So it's the second largest country in the world and one of the wealthiest as well. And Canada is regularly voted as one of the best countries to live in. And it's definitely one of the reasons why it attracts so many immigrants, so many international students around the world, and to come to settle in Canada. Population, almost 40 million. The languages, so it's English broadly speaking, and there's French in the province of Quebec. And the currency is the Canadian dollar. So the key benefits, as I was mentioning, very high quality of living, affordable, high quality education and healthcare. So it's a universal healthcare in Canada. The country is very multicultural as well, given the fact that in the last years, many immigrants from all around the world, like a big diversity of people came to live in Canada, which makes it very multicultural and tolerant country. And there are quite some vibrant cities such as Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, and many others. Excellent place to do business as well, given the market, the access with the entire North American market. And as of the passport, it is ranked one of the top 10, and it allows more than 180 destinations visa-free, which is a great tool to have in your pocket because it will definitely could increase your mobility. I was speaking earlier about the education in Canada, and there has been a report that have been made by Henley and Partners that ranks the different countries based on for the education potential, and it's based on the earning potential that the person will get afterwards, the career advancement, etc. So you can see the different factors in here. And Canada has been ranked 5th around the world for its education. So as you see, it's a great place to send your children study here because of the great potential. And among the top 250 universities around the world, 11 are based in Canada, and the top 3 I'm sorry. So the top 3 were speaking about University of Toronto, McGill University, where I have been myself, and the University of British Columbia. So the Canada Startup Visa Program, the target, the government of Canada is looking for individuals with skills to build a business in Canada. What is important to understand is that this program is not a passive program. It's not like many other programs where you just invest money, it's there, it's passive, and then you get the permanent residency. The Startup Visa Program is an active program, meaning that you would have to be involved into the startup that you will be creating. And then with that, we could apply for the permanent residency. So this is very important to take into consideration. The requirements. So the basic requirement is to create an innovative startup in Canada. And innovative is very important. It has to be a new idea in Canada. And you have to obviously do the market research. You have to get a really solid business plan that you submit to a designated organization. So designated organizations are 3 options: business incubator, angel investor, and a venture capital. And once one of these designated organizations analyze your business plan, they would approve it, and then you would get a letter of support from them. And once you get the letter of support, you can apply for the permanent residency. So now you're probably wondering, but how am I gonna create an innovative business in Canada, given that I don't know the market, I'm not there? How am I gonna do the business plan? And this is where our service comes in, and I will explain in detail how we can help you in the next slides. Another requirement is the language. So it has to be English or French language proficiency of a level 5. This is quite important as well because this requirement is mandatory. So you really have to have a minimum of 5, which is conversation. That you're able to make a conversation in English or French. It is one or the other. And you have to have a good health. So there will be a medical test. And another requirement is to have sufficient funds to settle and live in Canada. So the processing time, as of now, we're speaking of 12 to 40 months. So if you go to the website of the Canadian government, you will see 40 months. However, by experience, what I can tell you is that 40 months, they are the files that have been very not well done, and they took a lot of time to be done. In our case at Henley and Partners, what we have done so far is the Average time, we're speaking about 1.5 to 2 years to get the permanent residency. What is interesting about the startup visa program is that it is a path to permanent residency that will be in 1.5 to 2 years. However, if you would like to come to Canada earlier, whether yourself, whether with a family, it is possible to apply for a work or study permit for the kids, and then you can come to Canada earlier. So then many families, what they would do is that they would come here with this work study permit, start to settle in the country, and then they will wait for their permanent residency. So this is definitely something that is possible. Something important to mention is that this permit is available for all provinces except the province of Quebec. However, something to mention is that once you get the permanent residency, you can go and live in Quebec if you wish to. So the permanent residency that you will receive, it's a permit of 5 years. And for you to be able to renew this permit, there is a minimum stay requirement of 730 days. And once you have that, you can renew this permit. However, the interesting part is that there is a path to citizenship. So in this 5 years period, if you do spend more than 1,095 days, which is the equivalent of 3 years, you can directly apply for the citizenship, which is very interesting because 3 years, if you compare to other countries, it's a really low amount of time compared to other countries where it takes 7 years, 10 years to get the citizenship. So once you have the Canadian citizenship, it is for life. It is not conditional anymore. You can spend as much time as you want, and you can have the passport with a great mobility of more than 180 countries visa-free. Let's speak now about the process. So let's say you decide to move forward. What we will do, first of all, is a preliminary assessment. So what we will do is we will send you a form to be filled out to kind of have an idea of the profile that you have. And then we will support you in the startup creation. And how we do that, it's 2 ways. The first way is, depending on the background that you have, depending on the experience that you have, we'll create a new startup for you. So if you do have an idea already, we will go with your idea, or we can even help you with the ideation. And then we'll do the feasibility study, the market research. We will help you to do the business plan, to go to market plan. We take care of the incorporation, branding, website. So we have a great team of experts. This is all what they do, and they can support you in that. And with this, you will have your business plan. That is such an important thing to be submitted to the designated organization. So this is one option. And there is another option that I would say maybe it is even more popular than the first, which is pairing you with another eligible startup founders. So we already do have some founders that have startup ideas that qualify for the startup visa. And what is interesting is that in one startup, we can do up to 5 different families. So this is why if you are interested in the startup visa, but you don't have an idea and you don't want to get involved too much into completely starting a new startup, this is where we can just pair you with other founders, and then the business plan will be done, the marketing and everything, and then you will take in a role into that startup. So the way it works concretely, for example, if you have a marketing background, you would take a marketing role into the startup. If you have an accounting background, it will be that. If you have a healthcare experience, then probably what we will do is that we will pair you in a startup that is relevant to the experience that you have. So something that has to do with the healthcare industry. So the way we do is that we make a team of 5 people that complete each other for them to be a good team to increase the success of the startup. So this is the option that we would do to help you get the letter of support. So then once the business plan is done, we'll submit to the designated organization. And once you're accepted, So you will get the letter of support, but you will also get into an incubation program. So an incubation program is basically training about the business culture in Canada for you to better understand how to do business in Canada. And then you will get the letter of support from the designated organization. And then we will take in charge of submitting your residence application. And if you want to submit the work permit as well, we'll do it for you so you can come to Canada earlier. So this is kind of an overview of the process. For the timeline, so step one, as a summary, the application, the assessment. So we kind of vet your profile to see if it's pairing with which startup we will pair you. The second step is we create the startup and we'll pair you with an existing one that takes 1 to 3 months. The step 3 will submit to a designated organization once the business plan has been done. You will get into an incubator program, so that takes 2 weeks to 4 months, depending on the incubator. We'll finalize the business package. That takes approximately 4 weeks. And then you will have the issuance of the letter of support, the government application for the work permit, if any, and for the permanent residency. You would get your work permit if you want to have it. And at the end, you will get your permanent residency. So as I said, as of now, the average of timing of we're speaking Henley and Partners, about 1.5 to 2 years. As for the price range, we're speaking about 215 to 300,000 USD total. And that includes absolutely everything from the beginning to the end. So it's from the assessing your profile to then pairing you with other startups, the business plan, the strategy, everything is done. And then the incubator program. So this is the training that you will be having, the letter of support, and then getting your permanent residency. So it's kind of a white glove service. And at the end, I like saying that at the end of the process, you'll end up with 2 things. So you will end up with a startup that could obviously succeed and you could make a lot of money out of it afterwards. Obviously, it's a startup, so it could fail as well. So you have to manage your expectations. We do not wish for that. However, it could happen. But at the end, so you'll end up with a startup and you will end up, especially for the permanent residency, for your whole family. So as a summary, if I summarize Henley and Partners service, so white glove, so we will hold you by the hand from the beginning to the end. We know it's a new country, it's a new process, it's an innovative startup, but we have the team of experts that will be hand-holding you at every step for you to get your permanent residency. It's the expertise with the teams that we have. Multi-destination advisory. As I mentioned, here we're speaking about Canada today. However, if you are unsure, if you want to make sure that Canada is the right destination for you, if it could be another one, we'll be very happy to do that, given that we know the pros, we know the cons of every program, and we'll be happy to assist you in any program that is the best suited for you. And then the network. As you have seen, we have more than 60 offices around the world, so we really do have a great network everywhere. So now we are at the period questions. So please feel free to type in your questions. I'll be very happy to answer them. So if you want to contact us, so actually, if you already have an advisor, maybe you have spoken already with an advisor at Henley and Partners. So please, you can reach out to him or to her directly so they can support you with the Canada Startup Visa program. If you do not have any contacts, I will be very happy to assist you. So here are my contact info. You can reach out to me by email, by phone. And then what we will do is that we can set up a Zoom call so I can go through your profile and then assist you in the best way for you to get the permanent residency. Here we go. So now let me go to the questions. Okay. So here, it's a good question that we have here. So from Jan, who said, the failure rates of startups is typically quite high. what happens to the entire application, including path to citizenship, if the startup runs out of cash, or the business idea is less attractive than anticipated, or if the team chemistry does not work out. And this is a really great option. And as I mentioned, a really great question, sorry. And as I mentioned before, startups, I mean, we know that it could succeed and it could be really, really successful, or it could fail. And the government is aware of that. The government wants to attract startup creators. However, they're aware that some of them could fail. And this is why have peace of mind that even though the startup fails, it will not affect your permanent residency application. So this is really good to know, because many people are very preoccupied on the fact that they would create this business and then if it fails, it would affect their permanent residency, which is not the case. So obviously, you will have a big team that will assist you in maximizing the chances of the startup to succeed. You know, with the incubator will keep giving you support, will keep giving you mentoring and coaching throughout a couple of months or years for you to increase the success of the startup. However, if the startup does fail, it is not a problem. You will still have your permanent residency. So it is not something to worry about. And once you have your permanent residency, when you live in Canada for more than 3 years, you can apply for citizenship. So thank you for asking this question. So where will this money go? Will we receive any ROI on the same? So good question too. So as of that, see, so the money is the kind of the fees of the whole process, meaning that what we do is we will assess your profile and then we will pair you with startups. And with these startups, we will do the market research, the market strategy, the business plan, etc. So this what it implies. And then we will get you into an incubator. So incubator, it is some money as well to get into the incubator. And then we take care of the whole immigration process. And you will have a 10% shareholding in that startup. So this is where the money goes, I would say. It's to create this whole structure for you and the immigration process. And if you will receive any ROI, well, actually, that will depend on the startup. So if the startup is successful, well, eventually you could make a lot of money out of it. If it is not successful, as I said, it's important to manage the expectations. Then if it fails, well, it would fail. However, you will get your permanent residency. Let me see the other question. So someone is asking, I want to know about the money and will I get to run this business? So the money, as for the fees, I have mentioned it's $215 to $300, depending on the startup, depending on the team you'll be working on. And if you will be running this business, as I mentioned in the beginning, it is an active program, meaning that you will have to have a certain involvement. And this is where I would like to bring a precision in here. So we have some people who they ready to get 100% involved and they want to be involved at a maximum in the startup, which is perfect, which is fine. However, we do have some people sometimes at the end of their career or even retiree people at their retirement age, and they tell us, you know what, I want to come to Canada. I want to do the startup. However, I don't want to be involved too much. I have worked enough in my life. And this is where I can tell you that it is still possible, meaning that we will adjust to the level of involvement that you want to have. So if you want to be very much involved, we will give you a role and you can be involved at a maximum level. But if you want to be minimally involved, it is possible as well. And then you can kind of do a role of consultancy or something like that. So a certain level of involvement, yes, and it will depend on the level that you want to do. Let me see other questions. So the question here is for 50 years old and more, people, or without any business plan, what is the guarantee that the PR will be approved? Is some part of your fees dependent on successful receiving of PR? So I will answer to the question that I understand is for the age. So a big advantage of the startup visa program is that there is no minimum or maximum age, which is not the case for all the other routes or many other routes of immigration to Canada. The age is a big requirement, which is not the case for the startup visa. So we do have sometimes some people at their 50s, 60s. We have even seen people at their 70s doing the startup visa program. So the age is not a problem as long as you have a really good startup idea, innovative, a really good business plan, and this is what we can support you with. And here, the person mentions without any business plan. And again, so the business plan part, this is something that we take in charge for you. It is part of our service that, as I mentioned, even though you don't have an idea, what we will do is that we do have some ideas and some startups that are eligible to the startup visa program, and we take care of the whole business plan and everything. So even though you don't have that. And something else to mention is that some people think that it's only entrepreneurs that can be eligible to the program, which is not the case. We have seen many people, professionals, for example, accountants, that have been employees in their countries and not entrepreneurs necessarily, that would definitely qualify for the startup visa. So as long as you have a profile that will bring a value added to the startup and you have a good business plan, you could qualify as well. So the entrepreneur experience is not a requirement, which makes it very flexible as well. So here we have a question from Jan. Does the time that you spend on work permit also count toward the time for citizenship? And the answer is no. Once on a work permit, that time doesn't count. So the 3 years for citizenship, it has to be on a permanent residency. So here we have a question. Do you have any unsuccessful applicants that were denied for the PR during the process? So for this, what I can say is that obviously we can never guarantee that you will have your permanent residency, and no service provider, no lawyer at all could guarantee you that you will get your permanent residency, because at the end, it's the government's decision. So if someone tells you it will be guaranteed that you will have your permanent residency, be careful, because that's something that we cannot guarantee. However, from our side, we can guarantee is for you to get the letter of support. And we even have 100% refund policy, meaning that, let's say we do everything and then we don't get the letter of support, you will be refunded for the fees that you have paid. So for the letter of support, it's definitely something that we can guarantee. That means that the business, the work on the startup has been done and has been done very well. However, as the PR, it's something that nobody could guarantee. However, what we could tell you is that we have a high approval rate and we do the best to make it happen, but nobody could guarantee. Here, there's a question. This is a good clarification. Is the fee mentioned covers one applicant family or is distributed among the 5 group members? Thank you for asking this question. So the way it works is that it's $215 to $300 per family. So it would be per family. And in a family, I could maybe touch on that. So it would be the parents and children under the age of 22, so 21 and less, that would be eligible to the program. So let's say we have 2 parents, 3 kids under the age of 22, the whole family will qualify, and it's that price for the family itself. Something maybe that I could add, sometimes we have this question, are parents eligible to the program? Unfortunately, we cannot include parents into the application. We can only include children. So how much do you charge for the startup? As I was mentioning, it's $215 to $300, depending on your profile, depending on the startup, etc. So we have. So here someone is asking, what is your fee for a startup visa? So I have just mentioned it. And also, will you help with immigration part also, or only till the letter of support? It's from the beginning to the end. So the startup, the letter of support, and the immigration part as well, until you get your permanent residency and your work permit, if any. So it is included. Let me see other questions. So here, I'm going to take a last question. So does the 300 USD include the capital for the business? So yes, it does include the capital that you would put into the business. So you're going to be 10% shareholder minimally of the business. And the rest, it's all the fees of the program and of the startup creation, etc., and in the immigration process. Well, we have been through the questions. It was very interactive. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for asking these questions. I really hope that helps you to get a better idea of the program. As I mentioned, now the other routes, like for express entry, etc., it's getting harder and harder to get in Canada. So the startup visa program remains a really good program for you to get the permanent residency. As I mentioned, no maximum age. You don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur. You don't necessarily have to have your own idea, because we really take care of that from the beginning to the end. We will hold you by the hand at every step for you to get this startup done and to get the permanent residency for the whole family. And as I mentioned in the beginning, Canada is a good country, very welcoming for immigration. And if you want to do this path, we'll be very happy to do so. So do not hesitate to reach out to me or to reach out to your own advisor, and we'll be very happy to support you with that. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.